think you're all rookies. So I'm going to put you into the middle of my canoe where you cannot cause me any trouble, huh? I'm going to call you Melou. Can you say that? Melou. That's pretty good. All right, now you're... All right, well, even I am not the most important person in the canoe. The most important person is called the gouvernail, and he is in the stern or the rear of the canoe. He is a crazy man. He is standing up when we are going down the rapids so he can see over all of the people and trade goods we are carrying in our 24-foot canoe. So can you say gouvernail? Gouvernail. Very good. All right. Now you are listening to me, the Avant, and I am setting the pace for you to paddle all day long. An Avant's paddle is looking like this. Yours will be a little shorter, huh? And I am setting a paddling pace of 1 stroke every second. They tell me, if you can do the math, I cannot. I am a humble voyageur. I don't know how to read or write or do my math. I don't even know how to swim. That's why I put you in the middle of the canoe. You cause me trouble and tip me over, I'm going to sink just like a stone, huh? I'm not liking that. All right? Well, they tell me if you can do the math, you're going to paddle over 50,000 strokes a day. You're going to be very tired and very hungry when it's nighttime and we stop paddling. You're going to be very glad that Jacques le Voyageur is making you peas porridge every night to eat. You see, we cannot carry enough meat and other kinds of protein in our canoe for the long journey we are on to keep you full of energy unless we take dried peas to make peas porridge every day. You are Northmen, Huguenots, coureurs de bois. You are not pork eaters, the ones that come from Montreal to Grand Portage or Old Fort William and then go back to Montreal for the winter. You're coming from the trading posts, way up on the Slave Lake, Rainy Lake, all the way back in the waterlands, down to Grand Portage every summer with all the furs you have collected. And you are trading them off for all of the trade goods you're going to take back to your trading post for the entire winter to do your trading. So, an Avant's paddle is going to look like this. I am going to set the pace and you're going to paddle 50,000 paddle strokes a day. A gouvernail's paddle looks like this. A gouvernail is so important. He is not paddling like you. This is a steering oar. He is using it to steer our 24-foot canoe. And it's a bigger lever than my canoe paddle, huh? So you're going to learn in your math that the bigger the lever, the easier the job, huh? If I'm going to ask you to dig a rock out of the ground, are you going to use a shovel or a spoon? A shovel. And not because it's bigger, but because it has a longer handle to make our job easier, huh? So with this longer handle, he can turn our canoe right now, right on the spot. And that's because we are traveling in a fragile birch bark canoe. If we are to hit a rock or a sawyer, a log that's in the water, it's going to put a hole right in our canoe and we're going to sink like a stone, and you know what happens to me then, right? Okay, so the voyageurs are traveling way back into the lakelands. They're trading. Who has an idea of what the voyageurs are trading for? Who can tell me? You can shout it out. Furs. So somebody has been reading ahead. That's very good. What kind of furs do we really want? You can shout it out. Oh, you're doing a very good job with them, teachers. This is very good to see. So you see I have some beaver pelts here, huh? I'm going to pass these around. No pulling, no tugging, no fighting over the furs. Just take a quick look. There are lots of people to see these furs, okay? So this one I have made special, so you can see. A beaver has two types of hair on it. It has the long, silky guard hair on the outside. What does that hair do? Keeps him dry. Because he's living in the water, huh? We must put oil on this to keep him nice and dry. But underneath are soft little downy hairs. What are these going to be for? Keeping him warm because it's nice and cold in the rivers and the streams all winter long where he's living, huh? Well, this is what we want. This to us is called soft gold. It's the most expensive fur we can trade for, and it's very special to the animal kingdom, huh? It's got little tiny hooks on it. And when you look at it under a microscope, you can see those little tiny hooks. And the hatter is going to take this hair, and he's going to mush and mash it together, and he's going to make a felt. And this is the strongest felt he can make, because those little tiny hairs are catching onto each other just like your Velcro does today, huh? It makes the strongest felt we can get. And that was what was driving the fur trade, was the beaver fur, huh? We trade for all sorts of other kinds of fur too, but beaver was what we really wanted. That was our soft gold. So here we are traveling all these miles back in, and we're trading with people. Who are we trading with here in Minnesota? Who can say? You. The Ojibwe. Who else? The Dakota. Okay. The Ojibwe or the Chippewa. It means the same thing. You just put an O in front of Chippewa and say it really fast. It sounds like Ojibwe. Huh? But there were the French and the English that are trading here. They just have different tuning of their ears, huh? They hear things differently. So, the Dakota and the Ojibwe have been living here for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and they have everything they need. They have song and dance. These are rattles made from the toes of a deer. We're going to use every bit of the animal. It's so hard for us to kill it. We don't want to disrespect it. We're going to use every little bit of the animal. Song and dance. The Native Americans had everything they needed. They had doctors in their medicine men. They had hunters to hunt the deer. They lived in big houses. The Mandan Indians on the Missouri River, and the Voyageurs go there too with Lewis and Clark. The Mandans live in big, huge houses. They are 40 feet across. They are so big they can bring the horses inside during the winter to help keep them warm. They can sit on top of their houses and look out over the entire village and their fields of maize. What do we call maize today? Who knows? Corn. So they are looking over their fields of maize. It was very important to them. They had doctors, lawyers, politicians, their chiefs, just like we are having in our society, huh? So if we are traveling all this ways with all of these trade goods in our canoes, and we're trying to trade with beaver furs and they have everything they need, how are we going to get them to want to trade with us? Does anyone have an idea? Yes? Offer them supplies and weapons and stuff. That's what we're doing. But they have everything they need. What could be the deciding factor? Yes?
Offer better stuff?
Offer them better things. Or things that make their life easier, huh? They have everything they need. I can tell you, teachers, I can cook my coffee in this pot faster than you can on your modern stove. All I'm doing is putting hot rocks inside, and it's going to boil just like that, huh? But this is made from clay. It can be very fragile, and if I'm not careful, it breaks in the fire. Or, if I drop it, what happens? It's going to shatter, and I'm going to be a very grumpy voyageur without my coffee, huh? Now I'm going to have to trade for another one, or I'm going to have to make one myself, and I don't know how to do that. So as a voyageur, we're thinking, there must be something better than this. And we're looking, and what do we find but a cast iron kettle? It's very heavy, very thick, very durable. And look, it even looks the same. I bet they know how to use it, huh? But it's got sharp, pointy feet. Would you carry that all the way into the woods for me? Oh, no, it's pretty heavy. It has sharp, pointy feet on it. Maybe it pokes a hole in my fragile birch bark canoe, huh? And I don't want to carry this much weight in my canoe. So I am looking for even better things to carry in my canoe. And what do I find? A brass kettle. It's nice and thin. It's very lightweight. I can leave it over the fire and go to do something else. It's making my life much easier, huh?
Jessica.
But now you must remember, everything we are going to need in the wilderness, we must carry in our canoe. We cannot go to Walmart or Home Depot or Target to buy more things, huh? There is no Target in the wilderness. Well, that's what's so nice about these kettles, because all of a sudden I can carry more than one in the same amount of space, huh? And this is very important because we cannot stop to buy more trade goods. Everything we are going to need and use and trade must fit into our canoe. The Native Americans had everything they needed. It was very hard for us to find things to trade with them. And every tribe, just like all of you, likes to do things differently, huh? All right, you're wearing a white shirt, a red shirt, a blue, purple, green, all sorts of colors. You live in different environments. Some of you live in apartments, some in houses, some in the cities, some in the country. The Native Americans were all different too. They had different beliefs, they had different wants and needs, and they lived in different environments. And we had to figure out what it was they wanted to trade with us. What might be another example that might make their life easier in our trade goods? You have an idea?
An axe.
An axe is a very good tool, isn't it?
Yep.
But there are all different sizes and types and kinds of axes, huh? This one is a tomahawk. It's called a pipe hawk because it has a peace pipe on one side and a tomahawk blade on the other. We know an axe is much bigger, huh? Bigger handle, bigger head. All right, so these are tomahawks or hatchets. And this one we would trade with the Iroquois. The Iroquois are living on the East Coast. And when they get, what we have here is two tools in one. We have the peace pipe. All right, today, if we're going to make a deal, we're going to shake hands, right? But in my time, if we're making a deal, we're smoking the peace pipe among us, just like we're shaking hands today, huh? On the other side of this multi-tool is the tomahawk head, the sign for war. Now, when the Iroquois are gathered together in a big council ring like this, the head sachem, the chief, is going to take his symbol of power, his pipe hawk, and he's walking to the middle of the group. And he takes his tomahawk and jams it into the ground. What he is doing is showing everyone that we are at peace because he has buried the hatchet. And you have heard that expression before. That is one that means the same today as in my time. To bury the hatchet means we're at peace, right? We're not going to fight with each other. Now here in Minnesota, the Dakota, the Ojibwe, would like to trade for a tool like this. Here in Minnesota, we have lots of tall, green, leafy things called trees. And we're going to chop those tall, leafy things called trees down. And we're going to make them into our cabins, our campfires, our canoes, our snowshoes. We can turn them into all sorts of things with a wonderful tool like this. But we must be very smart voyageurs. Remember, everything we are going to trade or need must fit into our canoe. And I know that this handle is made from a big, tall, green, leafy thing called a tree. And I can be reasonably assured that anywhere I go, I can find another tree. So I am going to leave the handle behind. That way I can fit more things into the same space as if I brought the whole hatchet. More trade goods in the same amount of space in my canoe is very important. Why? Because we want to bring back lots of beaver skins. And if we don't have the trade goods with us, we cannot stop at Target to buy more in the wilderness, right? Well, the voyageurs go to the Mandan Indian villages with Lewis and Clark. And at the Mandan Indian villages, they would like a symbol of authority that looks like this. On the plains where the Mandans Indians live, there are no big, tall, green, leafy things called trees. It's rolling hills and grassland. You can see for a very long ways. Now, Monsieur, what is your name? Todd. Yeah. Monsieur Todd. Yes. Monsieur Todd is mad at me today. Monsieur Todd is over on his hill with his posse, and he's making bad words at me. In fact, I think Mr. Todd is so mad at me, he wants to fight. Well, I'm standing over here on this hill with my posse, and I'm just going to start waving this symbol of warfare around, this symbol of my authority. Now, do you think Mr. Todd is going to want to fight me after he sees this? Just say no. No. That's a very good answer, because this is not very good for chopping down big, tall, green, leafy things called trees. But it's very good for putting big holes in Mr. Todd's, isn't it? But not to worry, monsieur. We're in school, and we do not fight in school. We should not fight anyway. So I have a solution. What are we going to do today? Bury the hatchet. We are not going to fight with each other, huh? It's a very good thing. Thank you, Mr. Todd. All right, the Native Americans have been living here for hundreds, if not thousands of years. They have everything they need. They had flint knives. They had bone knives. But they are not as good as a steel knife, huh? A steel knife can stay sharper longer. If I drop it, it's probably not going to break, huh? So we are going to make their lives easier. We are going to trade with them things that are more durable, huh? So, the Native Americans had everything they needed. Song and dance, musical instruments, doctors, lawyers, big houses. They even had ways to make their personage look better. They could decorate their clothing with porcupine quills. This is done with porcupine quills. Who's tried to catch a porcupine? It's awfully hard to get their quills and not get all stuck up, right? Well, they had other things too. This is made from pipestone. Pipestone is a very soft stone that comes from just here in Minnesota. Huh? It's like a clay. You can work it without metal tools. Now remember, before the whites come, the Europeans, the Native Americans did not have metal tools to work things with. All they had was copper, no steel or iron. This bead necklace is made from the antler, or from horn. The brown beads are made from horn. This necklace is made from the claws of a snapping turtle. Not some little one you see run over on the side of the road. This was the biggest one I ever killed. It was 75 pounds and this big around. I catch it in the lake right up here, and I guarantee you I'm never going skinny dipping there again. But all of these things can be ruined by nature. Maybe a mouse gets into your house and he eats your snapping turtle necklace. The Europeans come along with glass beads. Glass beads come in every color of the rainbow. They come in all different shapes and sizes. And we know because we have dug them up, they're thousands of years old, nothing really happens to them. They're going to stick around for a very long time. Nature is not going to ruin these. So the Native Americans could get all different colors from nature. You can roll around in the mud like Jacques and have brown pants, huh? Or you can slide on the grass and have green pants. But who has gone down to the lake and tried to dip out a nice cup of blue? Did not work so well, did it? Or you try and scrape with your knife a little blue from the sky. Blue from nature is very hard to obtain. And so while they could have beads of all different colors, what they did not have were beads made of blue. And when the voyageurs, the Europeans, come with blue beads, and the Native Americans see them, they are tickled pink. They can't wait to trade with us. In fact, Lewis and Clark is trading one of these blue beads for enough to eat for a man for an entire day. That's how rare and valuable they were. So we are finding all sorts of different things to bring and trade with them. Lewis and Clark bring buckets of white beads, but they could not give them away. Because white is a very easy color to get from nature, isn't it? We can use bone or antler to make a white bead. It's going to last for a long time. But blue is very hard to get from nature. So they are liking to trade for that very much. Now, the Native Americans had everything they needed. They had song and dance, ways to make their clothing look better, their people look better. Did you know they even had plastic? The Native Americans had plastic. Who knows what those big shaggy beasts are that run on the prairie? No! There are no buffalo in North America. Bison. So the big shaggy beasts that live on the prairie are called? Bison. All right, try and remember that, huh? Well, if we are to take a big shaggy beastie like a bison and take its horn off, we will find that it's made from the same material as your fingernails and your hair. Look, it even looks like a bad haircut, doesn't it? It's keratin, the same material as your fingers, fingernails, and your hair. And this is nature's plastic. All I have to do is a little bit of work, and it's going to look like this. So I'm shaving some of that yucky stuff off the outside. Now, if I'm a Mandan Indian, I can take a coal from my campfire and take it to my next camp to make starting my fire easier. Or if I'm a Viking, I have a drinking mug, huh? Or if I cut off the other end, I can cheer the Vikings. Right? But you're saying, oh, Jacques, you're not really doing anything with that. It's not like our plastic. Well, maybe I take and polish it to look shiny and bright like your plastic, huh? Now it could be a powder horn for a soldier, huh? It's just like your Tupperware. I can keep liquids inside like a Viking, or my powder dry like a soldier, just like your Tupperware at home. But you're saying, Jacques, you know, you're really not like our plastic here. We can turn it into all different shapes and sizes, huh? Well, I can do that too. With just a little work, I can make a ladle to dip out my nice turtle soup, huh? All right, this is a mandan ladle made from a bison horn. Very easy for them to do without metal tools, huh? Well, you're thinking, Jacques, you're kind of teasing us. But what if I make a glass, a cup? Huh? Or maybe I make a plate. Or I make a spork. Just like your picnic ware, huh? Just like your plastic picnic ware. Or maybe I make a big bowl like this. Yeah, that's what most people say. They say, dang, Jacques, that had to be one big cow to make a bowl that big. But we're going to do just a quick experiment here today, huh? You guys know your maths, right? Yes. All right, if I'm putting my fingers together on the bottom and measuring the outside of this bowl, do you see how much wiggle room I have? Yeah. All right, what am I measuring? What do you call that? Come on, teachers, help them out. What are we measuring around the outside here? Okay, some of you have it, some of you don't. Now I'm going to take another horn. It's only this big. But I'm going to put my thumbs together and reach around and look how much wiggle room I have again. Isn't that amazing? I can take something of this diameter and turn it into that circumference. It's magic, and this is from a man who does not know his maths, does not know how to read or write or even swim. Huh? So, the Native Americans are teaching us lots of things because they have been living here for hundreds, if not thousands of years. They teach me how to hunt the snapping turtle. I killed this one and made it into my turtle soup. It's really good. Don't you like turtle soup? It's better than dog. You don't like dog either? Aren't you all from Minnesota? Don't you go to the state fair and eat puppy on a stick? Oh, well, you may call it a hot dog. I call it good dog. But I'm sitting by the fire and I'm all fat and happy. I had a delicious turtle soup and I got a great idea. I put pebbles inside and I sewed up where his legs used to be. And then I stretched out his neck as far as it would go. And I stuffed a stick down inside. And you know what I make myself? I make myself a beautiful snapping turtle rattle. But I like this to be a lesson to you today. Never get on the working end of a snapping turtle, huh? You can take your finger right off. Do you see? Never get on the working end of a snapping turtle. It can take your finger right off. Never get on the working end of a snapping turtle. Take your finger right off. You see? Right off. Jump! I was aiming at him. So the Native Americans are giving us all sorts of things to learn about. They are teaching us all sorts of things, and a hush fell over the mountain. Now, they teach me all sorts of things. That winter with the Mandans was the worst winter I have ever seen. The snows were 50 feet deep by the river. It was 50 degrees below zero the entire winter. Our thermometers froze. They were not as good as yours today. The ink froze in our quill pens. We couldn't write in our journals and make our notes. Well, how am I to get around in weather like that? The Native Americans give me a very good tool. Do you know what it is? Shout it out. So you speak English. I speak English and French and 4 native languages and Indian Sign Language too. To me, in French, these are called raquettes. Can you say that? Raquettes. You're saying it in English. Raquettes. Raquettes. Much better. Now, do you have show and tell in the school when you're little? Yeah. I think every school does. Well, in the 1700s, someone took a pair of these to the King of France in Paris for a show and tell. But there was no snow in Paris. The king is not knowing what to do with them. He's just playing around all day long. And do you know, that very day, the modern game of tennis was born. It's true. What do we play tennis with? Racket. You're saying it in English again. Rackets. That's right. And that is a true story. We owe our modern game of tennis to the Native American snowshoe. The Native Americans had everything they needed. They had song and dance. They lived in big houses. They had doctors. They had politicians. They had hunters. They had everything they needed. What are other reasons we are going to get them to trade with us, huh? Well, for one thing, we could not bring enough food with us to eat. So we are trading with the Native Americans for the foods we are eating. Maybe we are trading for a fawn skin full of wild rice, manoman, huh? Or maybe we are trading for maize. Remember, maize is called corn in our time. This is what Indian corn or maize looks like color-wise in my time. But because we have been breeding selectively the corn seeds together, they are this size today. In my time, an ear of corn was more like this size. So you can see how much more work it was to make enough to feed everyone. It was very important. Maybe we are trading for pemmican or beef jerky. All right. Oh, you like that, huh? I'm not going to make you too hungry here. Maybe we are trading for turtle eggs. Did that work? You're not so hungry anymore? All right, well, the Native Americans are trading for all sorts of... I spell over them all. Now, one of the things we are bringing with was a very new material. It was sheet tin. It's very thin metal, like pieces of paper. You can cut it and fold it and solder it into all different shapes and sizes, just like you can with pieces of paper. And so I can make it into things that I cannot bring with me, like a candle mold, huh? If I run out of candles, I can't go to Target to buy more, huh? I have to make myself a candle mold to make my candles. Now, who can, maybe I have a very big thirst because I have been teaching you all morning long, huh? I'm making myself a daddy bear sized mug. Now, your teachers, they work very hard too, not as hard as Jacques. So I'm going to make them a mama bear sized mug. Oh, don't laugh, you malou, you rookies. You don't work hard at all, I know. I'm making you a baby bear sized mug. So you can see with this sheet tin, I can make things of all different shapes and sizes. I can make all sorts of things that I couldn't carry in my canoe because they take up too much volume. Who can tell me what this is? You can shout it out. Oh, good. I have had a school that did not know what this was called. Now, we're going to use this, Mr. Todd, to pour from a big bottle into a little bottle for medicinal purposes only, right? That's right. Okay, well, what if I make this into a different shape, a different size, a different use? What if I make it into this? Now, I tell you, it's not a funnel. Who has a guess to what this is? What do you think? An instrument for making noise? No. Who has another idea? You in the back? No? You? Oh, monsieur, what is your name? Lincoln. I cannot advocate smoking tobacco. If this was a pipe bowl and I smoked that big pipe bowl of tobacco, I'm lying on the floor throwing up sick. It is not a pipe. It is not an instrument for making noise. It's an instrument for collecting noise, right? What is it? That's right, it's the world's first hearing aid. It's a tin ear, and it works. It works very well. I can hear you all very well, even you whispering in the back. Maybe you have a grandmother or a grandfather, and they say, "Grandpa, turn up your hearing aid." All right? You have a tin ear. You can't hear. Maybe your music teacher says, "Michael, stop playing." You have a tin ear. You can't hear music. This is where we're getting that expression from, huh? So the Native Americans had everything they needed. Song and dance, musical instruments, ways to decorate their clothes. They had plenty to eat. They are trading us the excess. But what it really boiled down to was beaver fur. It was fashion that drove us into the woods. The quest for beaver fur. All of the fur-bearing animals are pretty much gone in Europe, huh? But here in what is now the United States, there were plenty of beaver. And there still are. We did not make one animal go extinct because of the fur trade. The fur trade is very alive and well today. People are using fur and leather all the time, aren't you? Maybe you have a leather belt, or leather shoes, or a felt hat. All right? All of these things are being made from animal products. We must work together with them. If a beaver is to make a dam on the stream here now, it could flood all of the houses around it. It becomes a nuisance today, huh? But in our time, it was the most valuable thing we could trade for. Now, all of our hats are going to start out being made the same way. We're going to shave the hair off of the beaver skin, and we're going to give it to the hatter. The hatter is going to put all of that hair into a big trough. There's a wire strung across the top of the trough, and he's going to take a piece of fleece, a piece of sheepskin, and rub it on the wire, or a bow to create a vibration. And the static electricity or the vibration makes all of the hairs stand up. Well, the long guard hairs are going to stand up higher, and because there are no child labor laws, you're going to spend 16 hours a day pulling the guard hair out of that and throwing it away. Those soft little downy hairs, the one with the hooks on them, we're giving them to the hatter. And he's putting them into a big vat, a big kettle, filled with hot water and the mercury. Now, we know today that mercury is not good for us, huh? Right? If you break a thermometer in school, it's like a national emergency. But in our time, we even give it to people to make them better as medicine. I think it kills them better than cures them, huh? But we are going to put that fur into the vat with the mercury and the hot water, and we're going to start to cook it. And the hatter is smelling it, all the vapors that are coming off, just like when your mother boils a big pot of spaghetti on the stove, all the steam rises off. Well, the hatter is smelling all of that, and after a few years, he starts to twitch and shake. He starts to see things that aren't really there. And when we see a man like this walking down the street, we say, Mon Dieu, that man is mad as a hatter. Maybe you've heard of this, a Mad Hatter. Yeah? You've heard of the Mad Hatter before, haven't you? Alice in Wonderland. Oh, now I get it. Well, all of our hats are made the same way. They're all going to start out looking like this. And from here, this blank, we can make it any shape, any size, any color. Now, hats in my society were something that everyone wore. Everyone wore them. You have women in your cafeteria that wear the little hats to keep the hair out of your food. They did not do that to keep the hair out of our food in my time. We like a little hair in our food for texture. Oh, yeah. No, it's so they wouldn't get the ashes or the cinders in their hair. Their hair wouldn't get dirty. Because if they had to wash their hair, maybe they'd get cold and get sick. And our doctors cannot fix you on the inside like your doctors can today, huh? So it was important. We did not want to take a bath every day and wash our hair every day. So everyone is wearing a hat. And a hat was a sign of what you did. It was a symbol of your status. All right? And everyone wears a hat. They're all going to start like this, then we can turn them into something that's vert or rouge or all different colors, huh? And with just a little work, we can turn them into different styles of hats. Rogers Rangers wore a hat that was cocked up on one side. That way you knew anybody who wore that hat belonged to the Rogers Rangers. That was their symbol, their status. There's a sign of status. With a little more work, we can turn it into a hat like this. Now, this hat has 3 corners. What do we call a hat with 3 corners? No! A tricorn, like tricycle. It has 3 corners, just like a tricycle has 3 wheels. We're going to make a contraction, and it is a... Very good. We have officers in the Army, huh? Now, there are 2 different kinds. There are the ones on sea and the ones on land. An officer at sea is going to wear his hat like this. That way the wind is going to pass on either side, all right? He wears it like this, the wind can blow it right off, right? But on land, we have an agreement between the different armies. You do not shoot the officers. All right, that's the agreement. So what the officers do is wear a big flag on top of their head to show everyone that they are an officer, that they have the status of an officer. That's why we have pictures of George Washington on a big white horse, waving his sword and showing off his hat, saying, I'm an officer, don't shoot me. Right? Right? Everyone is wearing a hat. Even the Native Americans are wearing hats. Before the Europeans come, the Native Americans are going to hunt deer, and they're going to wear the skin of a wolf as camouflage. If a deer sees a man in the woods, he's going to be afraid and run away, right? But if they see a dog coming through the woods, they aren't as afraid. They know they can run from the dog. And so the Native Americans could sneak up closer and shoot the deer. Now, would anyone like to pet my dog? Yeah? Let's do this quickly. We're running out of time. Just very quick. We're tugging, we're pulling. Maybe if you don't have a chance now, you can do it later. Everyone take a quick pet of the dog. Yeah, everyone take a quick look at the dog. Well, I got you better than I got them. So, the Native Americans liked their traditions. The Europeans came and they brought cloth with them, which pound for pound was the largest trade item that we traded. And when they bring the cloth, the Native Americans are making a hat from that cloth. But they kept their traditions. They kept the ears from the wolf on their hats. They put the tail from the wolf on their hats. Now, traditions are pretty good things, huh? What if we did away with Thanksgiving dinner? Not good? Everyone here likes Thanksgiving dinner? Pretty much, sure. Well, do you know if it wasn't for the Native Americans, half of the things you get to eat today you would not be able to have? Half of the things you eat today came from the Native Americans. Thanksgiving dinner in Europe, in my time, you would have had oatmeal. Because you lived on a cereal diet in Europe. But because of the Native Americans, you can enjoy your turkey, your mashed potatoes, your gravy, your cranberry sauce, your sweet potatoes, and your pumpkin pie. So who can imagine a hot summer's day without watermelon seeds to spit, sunflower seeds to snack on, and worst of all, no chocolate? Without the Native Americans trading with us, you would not have had those things to eat. Now, Hollywood would like you to think that all the Native Americans wear hats like this, right? And some did. But not all of them, huh? We see the bonnets with all the feathers in it. As a Native American, a noble savage, an Indian, you could not just pick up a feather and put it in your bonnet. These were symbols of war. These are like the badges, the medals that our soldiers get today. We have soldiers fighting in Iraq right now, don't we? Yes. All right, what happens if a woman gets shot? She's going to get a Purple Heart, right? What if someone does something really brave? They get the Silver Star. That's what these feathers mean to the Native Americans. All right? This one is split down the middle and painted red inside. That's like a Purple Heart. That means that the person was wounded many times in battle. This one with the dot means he has counted coup. He has run across the enemy lines and touched another warrior without hurting him. A very brave thing to do because you're trying to kill me, huh? But this one is my favorite. This one has a notch cut out and red painted around it. This one means to slit the throat of an armed male enemy in combat and to take his scalp. So you can look on your spider's web. You can look on your spider's web and see all those different types of coup feathers. And if you're really good, maybe you're going to look up some of the artwork by Catlin and Bodmer, the artists of my time. And you can actually see in their drawings that this man was wounded many times in battle. He counted coup many times. And he slit a man's throat and took his scalp. This is a real man with real deeds, and you can find these things out on your spider's web. But it was all about the top hat. That's why we are trapping the beavers. That's why we are coming here and exploring to find more people to trade with. It's why we bring huge loads of trade goods in our canoes, so many miles, and paddle back out again with the beaver fur. It's all for this hat, the top hat. Is a chimney sweep going to wear a hat like this? No. He does not have the status in society that a banker would have, or a politician, someone who would wear a hat like this. Even the king wore a hat like this. But you know, the king, he takes a trip one day to the opera on the other side of England. He packs his bags and off he goes. He gets to the other side of England and the airlines have lost his luggage. He's going to have to borrow clothes to go to the opera. He's going to have to borrow a top hat to go. But these are so rare and so expensive. A top hat costs an educated man, costs an educated man his entire year's wages. So expensive, they're going to pass it down from father to son. All right? But the king did not have a top hat to wear. He must borrow the clothes. He must borrow a hat to wear. And all that anyone had to loan him was a hat that was like this. It was a new kind of top hat. It's made from little tiny cocoons. We're going to make this fabric by boiling cocoons and unwinding the hair of the cocoon and weaving it together. And when we do that, we have a fabric that pound for pound is stronger than steel. Silk, pound for pound, is stronger than steel. And it makes a beautiful top hat, don't you think? So the king is going to the opera, and he walks in, and normally we are going to take our hats off indoors, right? A gentleman is never going to wear his hat indoors, never in life. And you would give it to the coat checker. But the king does not. He walks right by the coat check, and everyone's thinking, oh, he's going to embarrass himself, he is going to have a faux pas. And he walks right to his seat without taking off his hat, and everyone's staring, everyone's waiting. And the king gets to his seat, and he takes off his hat, and he puts it away. Well, now everyone couldn't wait for the fat lady to sing and the opera to be over, huh? They wanted to see what the king was going to do with that magic hat he had. And finally, the fat lady sings, and the king gets up, and he takes his magic hat and goes out into the world. And at that very moment...
You want your bucket to be 7 inches in diameter. You don't have to use my stuff. You're going to make this yourself. So you figure you want this thing to be, say, 7 inches in diameter. Well, you want to take 7 times what number to get the circumference? What number you want to use?
3.14.
3.142 is what I use. Pi is an infinite number. It means it'll go on forever if you let it. And nobody really even knows why pi works, but it's worked since the ancient Egyptians. And I'm not sure, but I've never heard an explanation from any mathematician that can tell you why it works. But it does. So that's, I guess, all we need to know. So if you take whatever diameter you decide you want your bucket, times 3.142, then you want to divide that by the number of staves. Each one of these things is a stave. Now, I have 16 staves in my bucket. And you need an even number of staves so that your handle pieces, if you look down there, will be 180 degrees from each other. So you have, you've got 7 staves on each side, which is 14, and then the 2 long ones, which is 15 and 16. So they're 180 degrees apart. So, now that you know the diameter that you want and how many staves you want, an even number, then you take that answer from 7 inches times 3.142, divide that by the number of staves, it'll tell you how wide each one of these staves needs to be to come together in that circle. The next thing you need to do is take the number of staves, double it, and divide that into 360 degrees, it'll tell you what angle is on each side of the stave. So when you put all those staves together with that angle on the sides, they'll come together in that circle. These little rum kegs and the canteens only have 12 staves, so you have 15 degrees on each side of the stave. But the bucket has 16 staves, and so therefore you've got that 11 degrees and 25 minutes on each side. So, once again, you have to figure out in your own mind how big you want this thing to be and how many staves you want it. Then you can do your math, all right? So you don't have to use my calculations. Make up your own. As a matter of fact, it would be more interesting for you to make up your own than it would be to use mine. So everybody got that now? All right, get your paper out.
Does anybody want their sheets back?
You stop! I was in front of you. Oh, God. Where's his? That's mine. This is on our yours. This is our video. No, you can't.
All right, everybody back, please.